Eric Swalwell. Oh, man, this is one of the things we've been dreaming of. FBI agents confront Eric Swalwell at San Francisco airport. Oh, man, I wish I was there to see that in person. As you know, Eric Swalwell's walking around like he owns the joint, and then he gets busted here. FBI agents confront Eric Swalwell at San Francisco airport and seize his electronics as part of a sexual misconduct investigation. Oh, man. I love it. This is like Christmas over the summertime. FBI agents confronted Eric Swalwell with a search warrant when he landed at San Francisco airport Saturday. He must have been in total shock. And seized the former congressman, I like the emphasis on former congressman's electronic devices, including his cell phone, as part of a federal criminal investigation into allegations of sexual misconduct. Can you only imagine what's on Eric Swalwell's cell phone? Oh, my goodness. Swalwell's MacBook Pro, charging cable, and wall charger were also seized during the search, which was conducted at 8:25 p.m., according to a warrant obtained by the San Francisco Standard. Oh, I have to go through that article, too. Let's go through this one first. Then we'll go through the San Francisco Standard. Maybe they got some more info. The search warrant filed on August 13th was filed under a federal statute which prohibits officials, including law enforcement, from abusing their authority to deprive someone of their constitutional rights. Wow. Though it is unclear how the law applies to Swalwell's case. Oh, my goodness. Let me say, was Fang Fang with him? Oh. What do you think's on Swalwell's laptop? Oh, I love it. This is great. This is awesome, and this is like a celebration. This is like I haven't felt this good since Trump's re-election night. The FBI agents, armed with additional court-approved search warrants, then entered his house in Washington, D.C. on Sunday, seizing additional undisclosed potential evidence. Sources say the former representative started his day Saturday in Washington, where he still maintains a residence, with his wife and 3 children. Could you imagine? His poor wife, she's got to put up with this guy. Or maybe she's just like him. You never know. Swalwell headed to the airport later in the day and flew to his home state of California. The feds were waiting for him when he stepped off the plane. You know, I wonder, this is like Hunter Biden, right? I wonder if when he stepped off the plane and he saw the feds, he's like, oh, I'm so famous. I'm Eric Swalwell. They called security to escort me safely through the regular people. And then they're there for him to serve a warrant. Oh, he must have been freaking out. I bet you he thought he was going to get arrested when he realized what was going on. The feds were waiting for him when he stepped off the plane. According to sources, Swalwell was cooperative. Yeah, he was probably in such shock. The following day, neither he nor his wife was home when the feds rolled up on their property in Northeast D.C. Swalwell faces multiple sexual assault allegations. Yeah, why does he still have a place in D.C.? Anyone know? At least 4 women have made sexual misconduct allegations, including a former staffer who claimed the married politician raped her twice when she was too intoxicated to consent in 2019 and 2024. Uh-oh. Women should be believed. I'm sure there's got to be video of Eric Swalwell saying women should be believed. There's got to be. He's a Democrat. 2 of the women said he had sent them unsolicited pictures of his penis. Now, you ladies out there, do women really want to see that? Even when you're into the guy? The Department of Justice launched its investigation into the disgraced former congressman in April. Swalwell was also being investigated by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and the LA County Sheriff's Department. Oh boy, this guy. It's like an all-points bulletin on him. Swalwell has vehemently denied the allegation, but they nevertheless torpedoed his campaign for governor, forcing him to drop out of the race. Yep. The Democrat also promptly resigned in disgrace from Congress. Oh, my goodness. He's kept a low profile ever since, including Monday, when newly declassified records were released about his sexcapade. I'm sorry, it says escapades. I thought it said sexcapades. With the Chinese spy known as Fang Fang. The White House Transparency Task Force dropped the documents in which Swalwell admitted to the FBI that he occasionally hooked up with Fang. Oh, yeah, this is beautiful. It could not happen to a better creep, right? This guy's such a creep. The Chinese national spent years cozying up to rising California Democrats, plural, helping bundle donations for Swalwell's 24 re-election, and even placing an intern in his congressional office. I wonder if he had sex with the intern. Swalwell has not been accused by law enforcement of any wrongdoing in the Fang Fang scandal. Meanwhile, he's denied any wrongdoing in connection with the sexual assault, sexual misconduct. Yeah, he's just a totally innocent man. I am an innocent man. That's what I am. He's done nothing wrong, him and Hunter. While rejecting the claims, the former lawmaker acknowledged making mistakes in his judgment and apologized to his wife. Oh, my goodness. Yes. And that's Fang Fang. She looks different. That's Fang Fang. And that's Fang Fang. Those look like two different people to me. Do those both look like the same person to you? I don't know. They look like two different women to me. But I don't know. I don't know. You know, Eric Swalwell doesn't care what they look like. You know what? You know, you've heard about all these different sexualities, right? Do you know what sexuality Eric Swalwell is? It's true. You know, you've heard of like bisexual. You've heard of that. You know, Eric Swalwell is trisexual. You ever heard of trisexual? Means he'll try it with whoever will do it with him. Okay, now here's the San Francisco Standard. Oh, he's got his smart glasses on. This is great. Feds confiscated Eric Swalwell's iPhone and MacBook Pro. This is the San Francisco paper that broke the story. Let's see what we pull here. By the way, welcome to the program. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe. This is the San Francisco Standard. What a great day. This is a great day. It does not get better than this. It really doesn't. You know, this guy's a creep, and anyone who's best buds with Hunter Biden, you can only imagine what's on their iPhone and laptop. Okay, here's the San Francisco Standard. Federal authorities seized Eric Swalwell's iPhone and MacBook Pro on Saturday, according to a search warrant obtained by the San Francisco Standard. I love it. It's a hometown newspaper. They've got sources right there in the area. The warrant shows that the devices, which included a charging cable and wall charger, were seized at 8:25 p.m. on Saturday, though it does not specify the location. News outlets reported Thursday that Swalwell was searched Saturday at San Francisco International Airport, and his home in Washington, D.C. was raided on Sunday. So they actually, gave him a pat down, right? They, did the whole thing. He probably liked it, that part. The warrant was certified by an FBI agent in the San Francisco field office's Public Corruption and Civil Rights Squad. Oh. According to recently filed documents. The warrant was filed August 13th in the Northern District of California and assigned to a magistrate judge. The Department of Justice, the FBI, and Swalwell's attorney did not respond to request for comment. Shocker. Oh, yeah, he's in big trouble. And you know what he's in big trouble for on top of this? It's whatever they find on his laptop. Oh, my goodness. Could you imagine? And, the thing is that, because of Fang Fang, the CCP, the Chinese communist, he's an asset of theirs. That doesn't end just because he got caught, They're still all over him. the CCP, the Chinese. And either knowingly or unknowingly, they're monitoring everything he does. So I would be shocked if they didn't find some CCP monitoring devices on his phone and computer, wouldn't you? I mean, would they let somebody go like that? He still has a lot of friends. The warrant was issued under federal statute 18 USC 242, which often involves law enforcement abusing their powers. See, these are very serious things. If convicted of violating the law, a defendant, in the most severe cases, may face life in prison, according to the Justice Department. The statute is most often filed against law enforcement officers who deprive people of their rights. Well, these are some very serious things that the FBI served the warrant on with Eric Swalwell. This was not some routine raid and pat down and seizure. This is some hardcore, serious, long stretches of time federal crimes. The statute is most often filed against law enforcement officers who deprive people of their rights. For instance, the police officers who were involved in the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis were charged with violating the statute. Wow, okay. So they're charging him like they did Derek Chauvin. In 2003, the mayor of Waterbury, Connecticut, was convicted of violating this law by using his office and links with police to threaten 2 girls he sexually abused into silence. A former federal prosecutor said it's unclear how Swalwell could be charged under the law, although there was one potential avenue for prosecutors. He says, I'm unfamiliar with the parts of the case that would give rise to that violation, but he's in big trouble. I mean, this guy was almost the governor of California, right? And he was hanging out with, Eric Swalwell, scumbag, lowlife. Welcome, everyone. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. And if you'd like to call in, the number's toll free, 888-465-2631. Okay, here we have the Gateway Pundit. Former Democrat Congressman Eric Swalwell, he's a former congressman, but he's still a Democrat, right? Who was under federal investigation, received a nasty surprise at the airport. FBI agents confronted Swalwell with a search warrant when he landed at San Francisco Airport on Saturday. So that's a rehash of the Daily Mail story. Let me tell you something, okay? This is serious business. And my guess would be, I mean, you look at these articles and the details and everything they were after. This is very serious stuff, all right? You know, we're having a lot of fun because this guy's a low-life creep. He's total scum, and he deserves to see justice. There's no getting around that. Eric Swalwell is as bad as it gets. He is like when we used to have dictionaries where we looked up words, and sometimes you'd look up something and it'd have a picture to show you what the word meant. If you looked up corruption, you could put Eric Swalwell's picture next to it in the dictionary, and people, okay, I understand. He is a very corrupt person, and he has a lot of vices. Anyone who buddies up with Hunter Biden has a lot of vices. And he is facing a long stretch in jail. And I would say that based on all of this that's come in, and they really hit him hard. I mean, they wanted him to feel that, hey, listen, you know, your buddy Hunter's daddy's Justice Department's not in charge anymore. We have real police now running the Justice Department. I don't think they're so much interested in getting Swalwell. I think they're looking for him to fold on others and be a rat. What do you guys think? Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to go to jail, but they may give him a reduced sentence in exchange for singing like a canary. And I imagine he's already met with his attorneys, right? Because this happened over the weekend. So he's had a few days to panic. And he's probably been talking with his lawyers. Well, I know all these things about all these people. Do you think they'll cut me a deal? And I would imagine this guy knows a lot, right? Remember Madison Cawthorn was talking about that freaky Eyes Wide Shut sex club in Washington, D.C.? I would imagine that Swalwell's a card-carrying member of that club, and he knows the details of all these low-life scumbuckets, and he knows a lot of things about a lot of people. And if I were him, when you talk about, when you think about the people he knows things about, they got to really be freaking out. This story broke today for us, but the Washington insiders knew about this right after it happened. So there's a lot of people that are panicked that Swalwell is going to start talking. So if I were Swalwell, what I would do is tell my lawyer, I want to make a deal right now and bring me into protective custody on a military base somewhere. I mean, this guy, he knows so much about so many scummy, powerful people in Washington. And, you gotta understand, he was in that insider sleaze group with Hunter. And he thought he was going to be on the inside of and they did too, of the political corruption machine, the permanent Washington class forever. So they've completely opened up the books to this guy. And if I were him, I would be very worried about those people, wouldn't you? These are scary, scary people. And the people that are scared that he's going to rat them out, they're not in power anymore because President Trump's back in power. Oh, this is great stuff. I got to tell you, I am so excited about this. When this dropped today, I was like, oh, this is going to be the gift that keeps on giving. And Eric Swalwell, boy, oh boy, I tell you, people make such stupid mistakes, don't they, in their life? It's really amazing, And he, the thing about Swalwell, he's the ideal type of person that the establishment uniparty want in government, in particular in the Congress, because he has so many vices on top of the fact that he's a complete perv. That's somebody they can control, right? He participates in all their sleaze and whatever's going on, and he doesn't care because there's not going to be any accountability. And like with the CCP and Fang Fang, the powers that be in this country, in the uniparty, had him under their control. The things he knows. Oh, my goodness. Who do you think he's more afraid of right now? The FBI and Justice Department, or the people that he thought were his friends before the weekend that he knows all this stuff on? I would say he's more afraid of the uniparty. Oh, this is great stuff. Wouldn't you be? I'd be. If I were him, oh, boy. If I were him, I would have already made the deal. I would have already, I would have been like Michael Chiklis in the last episode of The Shield, okay? I would make a deal, and the best deal they would give me, hopefully immunity, and I would tell them everything I knew about everyone that I ever encountered in exchange for the deal. But do it quick. Do it quick, because these people I know about, they're scary people. Oh my goodness, this is beautiful. This is some of the best. I love it. I love it. And it could not happen. It could not happen to a nicer guy. Now I just got some breaking news here. Hold on. This is really upsetting. Let me pull this up. Hold on, guys. Let me pull this up for you guys. The breaking news just dropped. Let me pull it up for you. There's been another assassination attempt on the President of the United States. This time, in New York City. I'll play a bit of the press conference here. The FBI has confirmed there was a Muslim terrorist in New York pledging to assassinate the president and bomb the White House. This is crazy. Here's the Albany FBI special agent in charge.
And after that, she planned to flee the country and one day come back to, quote, do more, such as New Year's Eve in Times Square, even stating she would come back to attack the White House and the president, but only after she bombed the state capitol.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm here with our partners to say, not on our watch. Let this be a message to any individual out there considering similar criminal acts. This FBI will find you. Under this leadership team, alongside our brilliant partners, we're moving more decisively than ever to identify, locate, arrest criminals before they can carry out their alleged plot.
Wow. So a female Muslim terrorist going to blow up the White House, and I guess that's the State House in New York, right? Because this guy's in Albany. Oh, I have got to put together a list of all of the assassination attempts on President Trump, because there's so many. I mean, I'm losing track. Defendant praised September 11th. And does that sound familiar? It absolutely does. This is crazy. And let me pull this up here. This is just breaking. And information about her is coming out. How do you think this helps Abdul in Michigan? They want to call everybody Islamophobe all the time. They throw that around. But, I mean, what are we supposed to think? Look at what's going on here. Let's see here. This is her. Oh, my Lord. This is her. Look at this. Newly released photos show her buying bomb-making materials and conducting surveillance of the New York State Capitol in the weeks before her arrest. She's wearing the full, Iranian women's burqa. She's a 35-year-old woman from Albany wearing a full burqa, face covered, everything. 35-year-old Albany woman allegedly photographed the building from multiple angles, purchased components for an explosive device, and accepted what she believed was a real bomb from undercover informants. She told them she wanted to destroy as much of the building as possible and kill the senators at the State House in Albany. She faces charges of attempting to provide material support to ISIS. Oh, man. Has Hassan Piker covered this? Anyone know? I wonder. You got to wonder. These are scary times we're in, people. It really is. There have been more assassination attempts against President Trump than all of the other presidents combined. They barely make the news. And like the rest of them, this one is going to disappear. They're in the news a little bit sometimes, okay? When they first happen, but the next day they're gone. Maybe 2 days, but most of the time they're gone after 1 day. Now, if you're new to the program, make sure that you subscribe. Of course, my name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'm going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to cover. If you would like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. On the line, we have Bruce. Bruce is a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. He heard me talking with Joe Thomas about annuities and what a great deal they are, and he went in with his wife, and now he's a client. Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Brian.
So tell me about your experience with Jupiter Joe Thomas.
A fine gentleman. We sat down with Joe, and we explained everything to him, and we brought all our information, and he worked everything out great.
The cool thing about annuities is your money's never at risk. You're guaranteed a revenue stream for the rest of your life, but there's a bonus, really a signing bonus, where you can make a boatload of money before you even leave Joe Thomas's office. Can you talk a little bit about that, Bruce?
Well, that's where I was surprised when we sat down. We talked about the bonuses, and to my amazement, it was 10%, and there was even another one that's bigger.
Wow, that's amazing. So you made 10% on your money before you even got back in your car.
Yeah, it was more than that, but it was great.
Listen, guys, do what Bruce did. Give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call. You can set up a free consultation either on the phone or in the office. and Joe Thomas will put together a custom proposal just for you. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999, and online at jupiterjoe.com. All right, Bruce, thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Birthdays are exciting. The presents, the games, the friends, the cake. But for one very excited 6-year-old, there's just one problem. He has to wait. In the book, Do I Have to Wait on My Birthday? A Timmy story from author Justin DeSantos. Timmy is ready to celebrate his big day because he wants everything to happen right now. But when his excitement turns into impatience, one funny mishap leads to another. Before long, Timmy begins to discover that waiting isn't always easy, but sometimes it can make the best moments even better. Filled with humor, heart, and relatable family moments, Do I Have to Wait on My Birthday is a charming picture book that helps young readers learn about patience, self-control, listening, making good choices, and understanding that some things really are worth waiting for. Perfect for children ages 4 to 8. Do I Have to Wait on My Birthday is a wonderful read-aloud for parents, grandparents, teachers, librarians, and caregivers, as well as a fun way to start meaningful conversations about growing up and handling big emotions. Do I Have to Wait on My Birthday? A Timmy story by Justin DeSantos is available now on Amazon. To follow the author and discover future books in the Timmy series, visit justindesantos.com. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Okay, so the president said that, because now Caroline Leavitt's leaving. So we're waiting on a new press secretary. The president said he'd like to have a man. Okay. Well, there's been a couple things that have dropped today, and curious to hear what your thoughts are. Look at this. This is in trending politics. Scott Jennings, him from CNN. Scott Jennings meets privately with Trump administration as press secretary speculation mounts. Scott Jennings has reportedly met privately with White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles as he weighs a possible jump from CNN to the White House briefing room. And then, thank you very much for the super chat. Quinskis 443 sent the super chat. Thanks so much. And then Mediaite, this is strange. CNN Scott Jennings, I've not heard of this before, but maybe this is a normal thing, right? CNN Scott Jennings has reportedly sent clips of himself defending President Donald Trump's close aide, Natalie Harp. That's what I was talking about this morning. I was not auditioning to be the press secretary, but I covered that this morning. CNN Scott Jennings has reportedly sent clips of himself defending President Donald Trump's close aide, Natalie Harp, to the White House in a bid to become the next press secretary. Jennings went scorched earth on Senator John Ossoff after Ossoff's mention of Harp at a campaign rally Sunday went viral. Among the most vocal critics was Jennings, who lashed out at Ossoff both on CNN and on his podcast. So he sent kind of like audition tapes. Now, maybe this is normal, sending the audition tapes. I've never heard of this before. And I know everybody's got their favorite, okay? I will say this, okay? I will say this about Jennings here. Scott Jennings, when he went to CNN, he became a superstar over there pretty quick. And the reason he became a superstar is because he's so good tearing down these liberals that he's on these panels with. And, it's the liberals and the anchors sometimes. And the people, the panelists they have him on are they're top tier people. So if he gets the job as White House press secretary and he takes what he's been doing on CNN to the press secretary podium, that would be pretty good and awesome, wouldn't it? I mean, that's what we need. I mean, when you're, what's happened, the way it used to be, the White House press secretary was kind of like the voice of the president, right? The spokesperson for the president. And they are, but over the years, they've kind of become the defender of the president, right? For all the different presidents. And if he takes on the White House press corps the same way he was taking on these pundits on CNN, that would be amazing. And maybe President Trump wants to change up. Chris just sent a super chat. Thank you so much, Chris, for that. He says, thanks for your hard work. Well, thank you for watching. And thank you for that super chat, Chris. Stu. Maybe President Trump wants to shake up the way the press briefings are. As opposed to a Q&A, maybe he wants somebody who's going to verbally body slam these reporters. You know, if you watch the press briefings, what they are is they're a mob, right? They're a mob, the White House press corps. And they get together before and they decide what the big question's going to be. And they spend the entire press briefing pretty much asking the same question over and over. They'll go from fake news reporter to fake news reporter, and they'll ask the same question. They may rephrase it, but it's basically the same question. They're ganging up on Caroline Leavitt. This is how they operate. And if he were to go back at them, and I believe that's probably what Trump wants. Trump likes that. He likes those debates. That would change things up a little bit, and I'll be watching. If he becomes the White House press secretary, I'll probably be carrying a lot of them on the program. Why wouldn't I? Right? I think I would, and you'd probably want to watch them too. They're going to be pretty popular. If you're new to the program, welcome. Make sure that you subscribe if you're new, and if everyone could like the video that's watching on YouTube, I'd appreciate it. When you like the video on YouTube, you get the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel. And if you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, make sure that you follow and subscribe there. It's always free to do, guys. It's always free to do. All right, so let me get to some other stories. This is our openly gay Secretary of Treasury. And, you know, sometimes people ask me, why do you point out that he's gay? Because the media won't let you know that. Not only is he the highest-ranking openly gay person to serve in any presidential cabinet. Notice I say openly gay, right? Janet Reno wasn't out of the closet. She was in the closet. But Scott Bessent is the highest-ranking openly gay person in any presidential cabinet. And just 2 days ago, we were talking about this Muslim lady in the burqa, probably doing it for Iran, that was planning on blowing up the White House that they just arrested, I talked about earlier. There was an assassination attempt on Scott Bessent, the first assassination attempt on a cabinet member since the night Lincoln was shot. And the guy's going to prison for 73 months. Can you imagine that's all he got? I mean, this is crazy. And they don't want to tell you he's gay because they want you to think that President Trump hates the gays. Scott Bessent is one of his he has a senior position as the Secretary of Treasury, but he's also one of Trump's top advisors on everything because Trump understands that everything is affected by the economy. Here's Scott Bessent, and he's talking a little bit about Iran and the deficit.
To our allies, our trading partners, is that global growth is the way to take care of this mountain of debt. As the U.S. growth has picked up, over time we will be well above the CBO trend average. Then we are encouraging the rest of the world to do this too. I'm pulling for Europe, but they need to follow the Draghi report. They're mired in regulation and kind of
Yeah, this guy understands money and finances in ways that regular guys like me will never understand. But President Trump has him in charge of this new embargo that he's putting on, this economic D-Day, President Trump called it, on Iran. And Iran economically is being completely shut down by Scott Bessent and President Trump, economic D-Day. And they have been involved in currency exchanges with other countries that don't go through the regular banking systems. They're ending that. They've been using ghost ships to transport oil to China and sell oil to China. That's stopping now. Ghost ships are ships that don't have trackers on them. They've also been getting false registrations for tankers, and they've been, to move oil out to China and North Korea. And probably Cuba too, It's probably what's been keeping Cuba. That's all stopping right now. And President Trump's put Scott Bessent in charge of all that, and it's happening. And you really got to hand it to President Trump, because he's fighting a war in a way it's never been fought before, and he's just going to starve them out. He's no hurry, And there's no reason for us to be impatient. We don't have boots on the ground, and all of our service personnel in the region are safe. And he's bankrupting Iran, and I think that's a pretty smart move, other than a full-scale invasion, right? What would you rather do? I think this is the way to go, and it probably will be the way that wars are fought in the future. Now, Abdul in Michigan is, he is I tell you, he is responsible for a complete collapse of the Democrat Party. And, I mean, you look at this, remember the walk away movement? Well, there's a new version of it going on. Look at this. Michigan State Rep Karen Whitsett is appearing with Mike Rogers. She did this morning, endorsing him. So here she is. She's a state rep. She's a Democrat, and she had a press conference with Mike Rogers today. Democrats for Mike Rogers. I mean, and it's all because of Abdul and the Democrat Socialist. And, this is the thing. The Democrats have been trying to get this false narrative going that MAGA people are upset with Trump and are leaving, right? And you hear them call me all the time. They're always fake, right? It's all fake. This is real. She's a Democrat who's a state rep in Michigan. So this isn't some troll. And Mike Rogers, actually, they put out a commercial today where it's of Democrats that are walking away and supporting him. And you look at this. I mean, Abdul, this guy should drop out, right? All the things that have come out about Abdul, he should be forced to drop out. Now, about 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, I showed on one of my weekend programs that Abdul was filming some political commercial or something in his living room, and I had you can still see the video on my YouTube channel. It's Abdul with his wife in his living room on the thumbnail with their bookshelf, and he told the cameraman not to show the books on the bookshelf, but the cameraman did, and now we're starting to understand why. This is Abdul in Michigan. Look at this. Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El Sayed had a book on his shelf written by Abu Amanina by Law Phillips. I'm sure I mispronounced all that, but you get the idea. Who's an unindicted co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. So he has that, and that was Al-Qaeda. So he has a book written by an Al-Qaeda World Trade Center bombing unindicted co-conspirator on his bookshelf in his living room. And, when you looked at this guy's house and in his living room, the books in the living room that were there, those were, a lot of guys do this. You've heard me reference this if you're a longtime listener. Trinkets of Personality. These books on that bookshelf in Abdul's living room were carefully chosen books so that when people visited his home, and he wanted these books out there so people that visited him in his home would see what he was supposedly reading and what books he had. He was showing off. And having this book from an Al-Qaeda unindicted co-conspirator from the 93 World Trade Center bombing, he was showboating with that. I've never heard of this guy before. Most of you probably haven't either, till now. But Abdul and the people he was inviting over to his house, believe me, they knew exactly who this guy was. And he wanted people to know that he had this guy's books in his house. Now, this is the Mike Rogers ad. Let me pull this up. These are Democrats who are voting for Mike Rogers, okay, in Michigan.
There's a housing affordability crisis. I'm a first-time home buyer recently, and as a young man, I need to vote for somebody who's going to represent me and look after me well. I have not voted Republican before. I have always been a Democrat. I made the decision to support Mike over Abdul because I believe in Mike, and he has shown me through and through that he has the same exact values I do, looking for affordability for young people. I'm Ethan from Waterford, and I'm with Mike Rogers because he'll get to work for Democrats like me.
There you go, Mike Rogers for Senate. I mean, I have never seen anything like this before. You know, and remember what President Trump used to say in the first campaign, say what you want about Democrats, but they always stick together. Well, that's not the case anymore, is it? No, they don't always stick together. In fact, they're not sticking together. And, you know, how are they going to win in the midterms? They have this internal civil war going on. They have the candidates they have are all dysfunctional, right? They got weirdo Tallarico. They got Abdul, who's got this World Trade Center co-conspirators book in his living room. The candidates they have there's not one of them that's not dysfunctional. Now, I'm going to take a quick break. I got a lot more to cover. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian. We'll take our break and be right back.
Hi, Tom Laporta here. We are Laporta Roofing, a family business since 1983. You are our customer. In other words, our boss. We are here for and because of you, not the other way around. The 2026 rainy season is upon us. Because we haven't had a hurricane in 2 years, all the storm chaser roofing companies have gone out of business, leaving only the strongest and the best contractors. At Laporta Roofing, we will never sell you a roof you don't need. We don't have salesmen or commissions, so we will never pressure you to sign a contract. Also, deposits are not required. At Laporta Roofing, you will always come first. We must earn your trust, and we will. So call me on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
Dreaming of South Africa? Experience breathtaking safaris, Cape Town, the Cape Winelands, the Garden Route, and some of Africa's most unforgettable destinations with Grand Crest Travel. From luxury accommodation and private tours to airport transfers, safaris, and complete tailor-made holidays, Grand Crest Travel's South African travel experts take care of your journey from arrival to departure. Visit grandcresttravel.co.za. That's grandcresttravel.co.za and discover South Africa with the people who know it best. What if you could understand the Bible as one complete story? From creation to Jesus to the fulfillment of end times prophecy. Now you can with engaging, eye-opening Bible study live streams where scripture comes together in a clear, easy-to-follow way that will deepen your understanding of God's Word. Discover how the events unfolding in today's world fit into the bigger picture God revealed throughout the Bible. Explore biblical prophecy and what it says about the future. Compare God's truth with Satan's deception. Examine the evidence for creation versus evolution and gain fresh insight into the people, places, and promises found throughout Scripture. Whether you're new to Bible study or have been reading the Bible your entire life, these live streams will help you connect the dots, strengthen your faith, and better understand the times we're living in. Don't miss this opportunity to grow in your knowledge of God's Word. Join these life-changing Bible study live streams right now. Find the link in the description of this episode. Share the link on all your social media so your friends can join in too. Again, the link is in the description of this episode. Look in the description and click it right now. All right, we're back. Thanks for joining. And again, that link is in the description to the Bible study on whatever platform you're listening on. They do 2 live streams a week, but the live streams are archived. So if you don't catch it live, that's cool. You can just watch it archived. The link to the Bible study is in the description of the episode on whatever platform you're listening on, okay? So check it out. So I wanted to, this was, again, Scott Bessett. Here he is talking about what's going on with Iran, D-Day, economic D-Day with Iran.
Oil markets are misinterpreting what this economic pressure means. The economic pressure means that we are going to all of our allies, and this is going to be the greatest coordinated economic isolation in the history of the world. and we are going to them and saying, you are either with us or against us. You want this murderous regime to end.
right.
And if you insist on the doing business with them, either transferring money, buying their oil, they're doing seaborne ship transfers, then the U.S. Treasury and the U.S. government, they will put its full might and force toward enforcing against you. So it is time for our allies and the rest of the world to make a decision, and we are going to squash the economy of this murderous regime, which that will curtail their ability to project power through their proxies. It will mean that they cannot pay the military, and we have substantial inflation, both food inflation and ordinary inflation in Iran. And what we have seen, I see lots of reports that said, oh, well, this has never worked. It does work because we have a combination. It is a 1-2 punch. We have the blockade, and we are going to have the toughest sanctions in history. And I will tell you, this will work. It worked in Venezuela once we put up the blockade. It is working in Cuba right now, and it is going to work in Iran, and we are going to collapse this regime.
Yeah. See, in the past, when you've heard all these stories of embargoes, there's never been true embargoes. They've all been fake embargoes where nothing's really done, and they want to say there's an embargo. This is the first true embargo we have ever seen on Iran, and this is awesome. I don't know who would be against this. There's no boots on the ground. There's no fighting. How could you be against this? Well, I imagine that woman in the burqa that got arrested by the FBI in Albany, she's probably against this, right? Now, in Florida, we just had an incredible election here in Florida, incredible primary. Byron Donalds is going to be our governor. And they think that they had a victory because this Democrat socialist won the Democrat primary for Senate. She is if we were trying to put up, if the Republican Party, if it were up to us to pick the worst possible candidate, we wouldn't even dream of somebody this bad. I mean, she's the worst that you could possibly be. And I'm very excited that she's the one that we're running against. And what she's going to become is the face of the Democrat Socialist of America.
So right now,
Nixon is her name.
Donald Trump and Ashley Moody are causing so much harm to folks. And I feel like they're legitimately trying to return us back to the worst chapters of our past, of our history. And so you have Donald Trump saying things like he wants to make America great again. They want to return us back to the good old days. But the good old days were my mom drinking out of colored only water fountains, segregation, not having access to health care, us meaning Black people being bombed and, their neighborhoods being burnt down because they were becoming self-sufficient and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And so.
Okay. She's got a lot of tattoos there. I'd like to know what these tattoos are. See these tattoos on her arm? I don't know. Are those just random tattoos that she got on a drunken night? Or are those symbolic of something? I'd like to know. So yeah, this is great. This is the Democrat Socialist that just won the Democrat primary for Senate here in Florida. She's going to get creamed by this awesome Republican, Ashley Moody, that we have. But so she says that President Trump wants to go back to the days when Black things were being blown up and segregated drinking fountains. First off, when's the last time anybody's used a drinking fountain? When's the last time you've seen a drinking fountain? When's the last time you've seen... I remember, and I wonder, I didn't think about this at the time, but when I first started going to school in Florida was in the 5th grade. Okay? Now, maybe they did this all over the country. I don't know. But I remember, we would go to the playground, right, for recess, and we'd come back in, and it's pretty hot in Florida. Like today, it's 100 degrees today. I got in the car about an hour before the podcast, and it said 100 degrees on my dashboard was the temperature. I was like, oh, my goodness. But we'd go out for recess here in Florida, and we'd come back in, and the teachers would have us line up in front of the drinking fountain, and we would all get like 10 seconds to drink. And I wonder if that was part of the desegregation of the South, because it was in Florida, where like all of us, regardless of our skin color, were using the same drinking fountain, or were they just trying to make sure we were hydrated? Because I just don't think people were really worried about hydration back in the 70s and early 80s. It could be, that could be me, you know. Maybe they were. I don't know. But she's a nut. And, no, we're not returning to Jim Crow because we're not returning to Democrat control. No, she's not very bright, and she's got some strange tattoos. She talks about taking her child to drag shows. Why would you take a child to a drag show? What is the point of that? I don't really know. Yeah. Now this is crazy. This was from Fox. You know, the dreamers, the Democrats, their precious dreamers they were bringing here. Listen to this. This is Fox News.
That statistic that you had sent from DHS, half of all homicide suspects in Fairfax County this year are illegal immigrants.
Okay, half of homicide suspects in Fairfax County, Virginia are illegals. Half. So getting rid of the illegals would cut the murder rate in half.
That statistic that you had sent from DHS, half of all homicide suspects in Fairfax County this year are illegal immigrants. Half. Think about that, Harris. So why are Democrats putting their citizens in harm's way? Because when you look at states like Virginia, you look at localities like Fairfax County, they were essentially exercising sanctuary state and city and or locality policies in those areas. So why are they shielding these illegal aliens from deportation? Or then you look at this coordinated effort on the left right now to go after ICE agents, the very people who would remove dangerous criminals from the United States, from the interior, or this desire to abolish ICE. And I honestly think, as crazy as this sounds, I mean, obviously the best thing you can do is what President Trump has done to secure the border. But then the two other best things I think you could do, the Save America Act and also excluding illegal aliens from the census, because the reason why I believe that we had open borders under the Biden administration, it's for political purposes. It's to change the balance of power in the United States. So if you...
Yeah, what they've been trying to do is change the demographic makeup of the country. And if it takes bringing in murderers to do it, well, they're okay with that, right? They just don't care. Now, I want to talk about, I got a couple of things I want to touch on here. But before I do, I'd like to say that if you would like to support my channel and support all of the content that I bring to you, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description on whatever platform you're listening on. And when you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to a lot of exclusive content, including my daily live streams that are only available on the Patreon platform to Patreon supporters. And on those Patreon live streams, I talk about things that I cannot talk about here or anywhere else. And today, I've had two Patreon supporter only live streams today. I did one this morning and one right before the podcast here, a little while before. And I talk about a lot of things. And it's a great community of good people. It's a troll-free zone. No trolls are allowed. And again, the link to my Patreon page is in the description of the episode. And when you go there, you'll see an option to become a free Patreon supporter. If you become a free Patreon supporter, you don't get access to any of the content. You don't even see it. It's like a blank page. But you have to be a paying Patreon supporter, but that starts at just $5 a month, okay? And we've got a really good community in that live stream, and it's a chat very much like here on YouTube. If you become a top Patreon supporter, you get your name up on the screen here on YouTube and a live on-air thank you shout out on every episode. So the names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SF Jr., Christine, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, Lizep, Shauna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, Irene, Rick, Michael, and Robert R. These are my top Patreon supporters. Thank you for your support. Again, the link to my Patreon page is in the description. Okay, I want to talk about Darlene Graham, who's obviously, she's in this runoff election, and the rhinos are out there peppering her with these questions, and she's, I'll be honest, as always, her answers are not the greatest. She's not a professional politician. I get it, but I don't care. I don't care. What I want is a United States Republican senator who's going to vote for the Save America Act and everything else that we MAGA people and our great MAGA president are putting forth and want passed. I don't want somebody just because they can find the South China Sea on a map or understand some complex geopolitical issue, but they're going to be an obstructionist and hide behind this filibuster and not pass the most important legislation that would solve 90% of America's problems, and that's the Save America Act. And I don't think I'm alone. I think most Republicans feel like I do, but they're hitting her pretty hard. Darlene Graham had another run-in today with a setup questioner. Listen.
Senator Graham, one of the things I most admire about your campaign is that you try to present yourself as someone who's not a politician. I think all of us here hate politicians who take billions of dollars in...
Doesn't this sound like one of those incels that calls me, calling it... First, he's buttering her up with the compliment, and then he's going to come in with a question. Oh, I've been listening for a long time, Brian. Love your show. Catch it every day. I just have this question. Right, you know how that goes.
Super spender money from Silicon Valley. I think we can all agree that we want somebody who works for us and who cares about what we have to say.
Mm-hmm. I think we all agree on that. Yeah.
And so my question for you, because you're so dedicated to representing your constituents, I want to ask you about a donation that you received on August 16th, I believe, or it might have been the 14th.
The feedback's on his mic is awful.
A total of $500,000 from a PAC called American Mission PAC. American Mission PAC is a PAC that gets $20 million from, a massive PAC called Leading the Future. Leading the Future PAC donates to both Republican and Democratic candidates and is funded by Silicon Valley entrepreneurs and OpenAI. One of their major policy concerns is supporting AI and railing against regulations for it. They heavily support data centers. And at a time where 71% of Americans oppose data centers, I want to ask why, if you're dedicated to representing your constituents, why you took that money. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. First, let's talk about data centers, because that's come up multiple times. Obviously, y'all are here supporting Mr. Norman. So
exactly.
That's okay.
She caught him.
Okay. But anyway, data centers. Are y'all scared of AI?
Yes.
Do we need to let China take over AI? Is that scary?
We don't need it in our backyard.
Yeah, we don't.
There he's going with
And
she called him out. Now he's out undercover. He's no longer undercover.
We need guardrails and regulations in place. That's a perfect answer right there. You know who needs to be in control of data centers? Not the federal government, but communities. So that's the answer to...
Silicon Valley entrepreneurs either.
I don't know what you're talking about, but anyway, thank you.
Who fund your campaign.
Okay. Do you know how PAC contributions work?
Yes.
Okay. So I have no control over the PAC money coming in or how it's spent. So.
Have you spoken about that money? That you don't support the money?
It's a debate.
Yeah.
Question.
That's what I've just asked a question to it.
Yeah, question. You got it for him?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to somebody else. I think y'all have had your fair share.
I think she handled that guy pretty good, don't you? And that's not a normal question to ask. I think she did very well there. And, someone in the live chat, they said, oh, you want a yes man. Yeah, that's exactly right. We want members of the House and members of the Senate that do what President Trump wants them to do. Absolutely. He's the leader of the Republican Party, President Trump, and he represents us, the constituents of all these members that are in Congress. And we want the Save America Act passed. And you know what? We want everything the president wants passed as well. And they can ask questions about PAC money, about data centers. They can throw whatever slop they want at the wall to see what sticks. I don't care. But you know who's after Darlene Graham? It's the rhinos. The rhinos are panicked about Darlene Graham. And Darlene Graham could find herself as vice president of the United States, And I'll tell you this, while her answers may not have been the best about that China Sea thing, so what? She's been a senator for about 5 minutes, and she's dealing with the unexpected loss of not just her brother, but her father, because remember, he adopted her and raised her. So I think she's doing all right, don't you? Absolutely. Absolutely. And shame on these rhinos that are going after Lindsey Graham's sister. It really shows you the Republican establishment, how classless they are. They are Democrats. Make no mistake about it. Now, if you are new to the program, welcome. The Brian Craig Show is available wherever you get podcast. If you want to catch the show in video form that's live, or you hear me taking live calls every day, that's on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for The Brian Craig Show. And I am live every morning of the week on YouTube, weekdays and weekends. When I'm in the studio, I am taking calls, and I'm here most afternoons as well. So make sure you follow and subscribe wherever you're listening. And those of you who are watching on YouTube, please do me the favor of liking the video, because when you like the video, you get the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel. So please like the video. That helps so much. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll see you first thing tomorrow morning. Take care.